Welcome to Mr. Wag 309 YouTube channel, the best channel of Bunker Middle School. Today we're going to take a look at the various formulas we have been using in order to solve some density problems. Of course, you may use this on your take-home portion of your test. So as we discussed in class, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to actually list our formulas. So we're going to go ahead and get to that right now. One of the formulas we talked about was for density, and we said that density is equal to mass divided by volume. And yes, it is, don't break my heart, but I will spare you any of my singing. The next one, let's say we have the mass that we're trying to find, and we know the value for volume and density. So mass is equal to volume times density. Finally, what if we have volume? Or we need to find volume. Volume is equal to the density divided by the mass. Okay? If we have a regular cube or rectangular cube, we can also use the following formula, which is volume equals length times width times height. So these are the formulas that you will use in your take-home portion of the test. Coming up next, we're going to look at a few sample problems and see how we apply these formulas. So our first sample problem is where we are going to find just the straight density of a problem. The problem reads, we will have an unknown sample of rock. The mass of the rock is 137 grams. The volume of the rock was measured at 73 milliliters. What is the density of the rock? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write down our formula. So density equals mass divided by volume. Now if I look over here, I can certainly see that I have some values for that, and I'm going to go ahead and plug them in. The mass is equal to 137 grams. The volume is equal to 73 milliliters. So our density then is equal to the fraction there. So what we can do is we can go ahead and use a calculator, and we can type in 137 divided by 73, and that equals 1.8767, and then it goes on with some other numbers. We're just simply going to go to the hundredths spot. So we have 1.87. After the 7 here, you can see is the number 6. That means that we had to move that 7 up to 8. So our density is 1.88 grams per milliliter. Next, finding the density and the volume. So this one we don't know what the volume is, and we want to know what the density is. So it says the mass of the object below is 101 grams. What is the density of the object? First and foremost, we need to determine what is the volume. So we're going to use our formula. Volume equals length times width times height. So we can simply put 12 centimeters times 7 centimeters times 4 centimeters, and that will give us our volume. So we've got 12 times 7 times 4 equals 336. Centimeters, don't forget cube, because we got 1, 2, 3 centimeters, so we always cube it. The next thing we need to do is we need to take our volume and we need to apply that back to our density formula. Density equals mass divided by volume. Mass is 101 grams. Our volume now is 336 cubic centimeters. Density, of course, then is going to be the answer between 101 grams divided by 336 cubic centimeters. So we'll plug that in. So we got 0.300. So our density is equal to 0. Try that again. 0. What did we say? 30 grams per cubic centimeter. All right. Next, we're going to try to move through this a little bit quickly, is finding the mass. When we find the mass of an object, we need to take the volume and multiply it by the density. So, mass equals volume times density. In our problem here, the volume of a rock is 125 cubic centimeters. It has a density of 25 grams per cubic centimeter. What is its mass? Volume equals 125 cubic centimeters times the density, which is 25 grams per centimeter cubic. So we get 125 times 25 equals 3,125 grams. Okay. Next, finding the volume. Finding the volume requires you to take the density and divide it by the mass. So in our problem here, the mass of a rock is 224 grams. It has a density of 12 grams per cubic centimeter. What is its volume? So again, first step, write the formula. Volume equals density divided by mass. Density is 12 grams per cubic centimeter. And we need to divide that by the mass, which is 224 grams. So that gives us our volume is equal to 12 divided by 224 equals 0.05, and we'll call that cubic centimeters. So that concludes all of our sample problems. Now we're just going to talk about something that we do when we solve every problem, is we have to label it properly. So in order to label it properly, we'll just kind of list them right here. If we're dealing with density, remember density is a ratio. The ratio is between mass and volume. So it would be grams per cubic centimeter or grams per milliliter, because each of these milliliter or cubic centimeters are equal to one another. That's how we measure volume. Mass is always going to be in grams, and then volume is going to be in cubic centimeters or milliliters. This is the conclusion of your density tutorial. I wish you luck on your take-home portion of the test. Hopefully, if you are having some struggles, you may find some relief and some help from this here broadcast. Thank you. Good luck. Don't forget, label your answer.